101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that arrived for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book early this morning. No other than Mr. Darrell Berry. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Darrell, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, my name is Darrell Berry, and this is my first novel. It was released 6th May, so it just released through Atmosphere Press, and it is a mystery novel. I'm a retired officer from the military, from the Army, and the book deals a little bit with the Army and some current events back in the Don't Ask, Don't Tell years when gays you could be gay, but you couldn't tell anybody that you were.
Yes. Well, Mr. Darrell, thank you so much for sharing your early this morning to the world. So tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Well, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot, and I like mysteries. And I thought about writing this book a long time ago because I think I would enjoy writing. And at the time, I was in the military, and I did work in the area of biological agents and warfare. This book is totally fiction. Let me say this, because some of my work was secret, but this is absolutely totally fiction. And so I thought about that, and that's kind of the idea I had, was sort of matching up the issue with gays in the military at the time and biological warfare. And I don't know, I just started thinking about plots that I would be interested in as a reader. So I came up with the idea of some high-ranking officers in the military who were very homophobic and trying to get rid of as many people, gay men and women, as they could. So there so happened to be a very legitimate mission of spying on a foreign country to see if they were making biological agents. The problem was, when we deployed to this country, we would probably have a very, very large morbidity rate, casualty rate. So the officer said, why not send a bunch of gay men and women? You know, they're expendable, and yet we could find out information on this country. And that's the premise of the book.
Indeed, interesting, Mr. Darrell. And what are your struggles in writing this novel?
Well, Lord, gosh, there was many struggles in writing the novel. Developing the characters weren't much of a struggle, but just trying to keep things moving. It's a short book, it's 174 pages, and when I read, I like for things to go fast. The chapters are short, and I meant it for it to be a very exciting novel, mystery novel, that could be a very quick but enjoyable read. So it was challenging to do that. And then, just as a novel for a first book, it was just all the regular things that you have. You know, did I say this right? Did I portray this right? And questioning myself. But through much help from other folks, and Atmosphere Press was absolutely wonderful. Their editing staff is just incredible. So I was very, very happy with that. So they gave me a lot of help.
Mr. Darrell, how does the title reflect the book's themes or emotional undertones?
That's an interesting question that you ask about. Early this morning, the title originally came from just one of they call them Army jodies, when you're marching along and the cadence, the sergeant gives you a cadence, and then the soldiers say the cadence. One of the cadences starts out early this morning about 3:45, and then all the soldiers say early this morning about 3:45. And it's anyway, it goes on like that. That's what it was originally about. But people that have read the book told me that they thought it was about the very last chapter in the book, because the climax, the last chapter, happens early in the morning. So either way, I guess it could either be one of the cadences or it could be the last chapter.
What traits or struggles of the protagonist felt most vital to their identity as you wrote?
Um, that's interesting. One of the protagonists does not. His name is never given. It's just he goes by like we just call him the mechanic. Everyone else has a name. You know, all the other characters have a name. He was a mole that was inserted into the company. The entire
Mm.
company that went overseas were all gay and lesbian. This gentleman was not. He was very homophobic. He was a mole that was placed in there to make sure everything was kind of going okay. And his transformation, without giving too much away from the book, his transformation
Spoilers.
from being totally homophobic to the events that happened to him. Well, I'll just say the part of the company end up saving this gentleman's life. And so he has a total switch from hating the service members to respecting them.
Do any characters embody aspects of your own personality or people you've known?
Yes. Yes. A lot. In fact, I would say nearly I did not write a character specifically from a certain person that I knew, and certainly not me, but a certain person that I knew. But they are absolutely a compilation of people that I have known in the past. Nearly all of them, I would say, even the minor characters. And I will say, a very small portion of the book does deal with a little dark, because it does deal with the problem of teenage suicide of gay kids. But so I didn't, on that little blip of it, I didn't know that person exactly, but it's just, it's, so prevalent to why I thought I needed to include something like that in the book. And it fit well with what the book was all about.
So, Mr. Darrell, is the setting symbolic, or how does it influence the character's decision or growth?
Did you say is the subject symbolic? Is that what you said?
Is it the setting symbolic? The setting of the book itself.
Of of the book. Um, no, I wouldn't say that it's not necessarily no, not particularly. No, I don't think I'm not that intelligent. I'm just a simple guy, so I didn't write a lot of write. It's pretty cut and dry. Let's put it like that.
So, did you delve into historical, cultural, or technical research to the ground
I
of the
did a
story?
little bit, yes,
Mhm.
because I lived through before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and so I knew quite a lot about it. But I did, yes, I did a little bit of research there, even though this is fiction, about the policy, and then I did some research on some of the areas that I write about in the book, some of the geographic areas. So although it's fiction, there are a lot of things that are true. The place, the settings, the happenings, the personalities, that type of thing.
Were there other title contenders? And why was Early This Morning ultimately chosen?
Um, it's when I was thinking about the book and thinking about what to call it, I mean, there was really no reason to label it. I could have waited till I finished the book, but for some reason, I had this nagging, I don't know, I don't know why. I wanted to go ahead and label it. And I came in the Army as a private, and then I retired as a lieutenant colonel. But all during the time, I used to love the marching jodies, we call them, these cadences. And this one was particularly, I was particularly fond of, and I really don't have any more reason than that. that I thought it was had sort of a catching, you know, title. So
Which scenes resonated with you the most deeply and why?
scenes, uh, there at the very beginning of the book, the first couple of chapters, there is a scene where there are people in a gay bar, and the military police are about to approach the bar and arrest them. And the tipping off, the whole idea of people in the bar tipping the folks off and say, hey, if you're in the military, you need to get out of here. Uh, that scene was happened time and time again during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So that was a very significant open. It wasn't the very first scene of the book, but chapter of the book, but it came very, very close. Then the realization after everyone was gathered together, and it was time to train and deploy, and people started looking around and saying, "What's going on? I know this guy. I know this guy. We're all gay." You know, that rationalization chapter was very significant, and then toward the end, the actual when the plot thickens and we know what's going to happen to the soldiers, those particular chapters are very significant. And of course, the very end when the good guys win and the bad guys lose is also significant.
How do secondary characters illuminate the protagonist's journey or the center conflict?
You know, I think uh, I'm glad you asked that because to me, the secondary characters are so very important um, to move the action forward, and they're sort of supporting roles to the protagonist or to the main characters. Or I mean, you can't do without them. And that that's something I didn't realize until after I got deep in the book, and I even went back and worked on the supporting characters to make them more poignant uh, and more important. Uh, but I guess that was a realization to me as a writer about how important they could be, and I really couldn't do without them in the book. They may be supporting or minor characters, but they're actually very, very, very meaningful to the story.
Mr. Darrell, what motivations or complexities make antagonists compelling rather than one dimensional?
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch all that.
Yes, what motivations or complexities make the antagonist compelling rather than one dimensional?
Well, I've already mentioned the mechanic because he went through an entire transformation. I mean, 180 degrees, and his thoughts about gays in the military. Um, then, and that was the most dramatic. The other, excuse me, has to do with a, a friend of one of the main characters, another Army officer, and he had no idea that his friend was gay, and yet he was in this group of people being deployed. These two men who were both lieutenant colonels, the realization that they had known one another all these years and now are just now finding out, that one of them is gay and one of them is, is straight. Uh, that was, to me, was a very important realization. I think those two are the most drastic ones. I was going to say that was one exception, but no, that goes back. The mechanic is the main one though, because it's just a tremendous change of attitude for him.
Mr. Darrell, what motivations or what was the conclusion plan from the start, or did evolve organically?
It evolved. It absolutely evolved. Uh, I had an idea, kind of a very, very basic idea when I was doing my outline, that what I wanted to happen. But the end of the book did not take place in my mind until nearly the end of the book. Literally, it was as I was writing along, as the story was progressing, as things were moving forward. They were going overseas. All these interactions were happening, but I didn't know how it was going to end until I really came to the end. I don't know if that's a common thing with writers or uncommon, but it certainly happened with me. I did not know until the very end how this was going to be resolved.
Does this story world or characters leave room for future exploration?
I don't know. I'm working on another book. It's another novel, another mystery novel, but it doesn't have anything to do with the military or, but I don't know, because someone is also looking at my book to write a screenplay.
Mm.
So I'm not for sure. They may have some ideas about, a carry on, but at this moment, I don't. But to answer your question, I think it does. It would leave itself open at the very end of the book for a follow
Mhm. Hoping for the prequel or sequel, Mr. Darrell. And as an author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
on. Short term would probably be to turn the in. Not me personally, but there's someone that's writing that wants to write this as a screenplay, and I would be involved in that. So that is the very short term goal. Well, other than getting the book out and selling it, I guess I should say that would be number one. But then this sort of long term goal is another novel.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Darrell. And what is your piece of advice for those people out there who want to write their own book?
Wanting to write their own book,
Yes.
my advice is very simple, because it's advice that was given to me, and that is just sit down with pen and pencil or computer and write. Just do it, because that to me, that's the hardest step. What am I going to write? How am I going to write it? All this kind of stuff. Forget everything. You've got an idea, sit down and start writing. That's what I
Mm.
did, and ended up with a book.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for your advice, Mr. Darrell. I hope people listening or watching right now make their own book if they have the passion to write, and stop procrastinating, people. Were there moments where writing the story profoundly affected your own perspective or emotions?
Yes. Reflection on the part of the book where people were hunted down for being gay at the very beginning, like I was talking about earlier at the gay bar. And then this scene, I keep saying scene, I should say chapter, with the young man that committed suicide. Uh, that was rough, rough to write. And it's actually, I mean, difficult to read. I found myself, when I'm reading the book, I get emotional reading that. And I'm thinking, well, silly, you wrote it. So I know, but it's, that is very emotional for me. Those are the two main kind of, I don't know, emotional, touching, difficult to write.
Mr. Darrell, how would you define the book's genre, and did you intentionally subvert any conventions?
Well, first of all, one thing, I'm not for sure if this is getting exactly what you're asking, but I did not want to write a gay book. I wanted to write a book that happened to have gay issues in it.
Yes.
Um, and uh, other than, I mean, I wanted people to sit down and be able to enjoy a novel, but hopefully there were historical lessons in it, because there really was a don't ask, don't tell. Gays in the military really were persecuted. Um, so although there's truth to it, like I say, you know, it's absolutely fiction, but um, I'm hoping people that read it will have a better understanding about, if they don't already know, about those times and how difficult they were.
Mr. Barry, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, book 101 review in fifth season, comedy 101 in second season, food 101 in its fifth season too, geography 101 in fourth season, love letters in third season, and my baby podcast. Mental Health 101, Movie 101 review in fourth season, and Music 101 in third season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Barry, how does early this morning fit into your evolution as a writer compared to the past or future works?
Well, it was my first book, so I guess a starting spot, a starting stepping stone, I guess.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, Mr. Darrell Berry, for creating your first book to the world early this morning. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your debut novel?
Oh, yes. As you mean, as far as where you can get it, I mean, it's on Amazon.
Yes,
Uh,
please. Amazon on where books are sold.
yeah, it's for sure it's on Amazon and Kindle, and we're right now and getting it into bookstores, but for sure Amazon. You can get a hard copy, soft copy, or Kindle.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Darrell Berry, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Darrell, thank you so much for your time.
And thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it.
More to come, people. See you soon.